session to the cloud as well. Okay, so just to kind of start off and give some context. So welcome to this webinar on how to use showbie from a teacher perspective. My name is Abdul. I'm part of this organization called Think Simple. I work with schools and leadership teams all around the world to kind of look at how technology and pedagogy and learning fuses together. I kind of work from a leadership perspective to ensure that there is an evidence-based approach to how we make decisions with technology in education. I've done a bunch of impact studies with different schools that I work with. My Twitter handle and email details are there on below, and you can kind of follow that and see a bunch of stuff that I've been doing in different parts of the world. For this particular session, what we're now going to do is we're going to go into signing into showbie. Now, you will either have a browser or you will have the app on the iPad. There will be people on the group that have used showbie before and maybe use it on a daily basis, and there will be others that will be very new to showbie. I'm going to kind of focus on some of the more detailed features. I'm also going to explain a little bit about Socrative. If you don't know about Socrative or you've not used it, then it's something that we will have a go at today as well. So the first thing I need you to do is to sign up as a student. So we're going to run this as a class. So in the current kind of climate about distance learning, we're going to kind of set this up as though we were a real class and we were kind of having a go at doing distance learning. And it's pretty simple. What I need you to do first is whether you're on the browser or whether you're on the showbie app, if you can just find the button that says sign up for free and you tap on that, okay, and then you're going to sign into showbie and make a new student account. So this is what your students would be doing. Okay, so when you sign up for free, you're going to be presented with these windows. So the first one is just very simple. You're going to tap I'm a student, and the next one, very easy, sign up with username. And then the next one, you put your first name in, you put your last name in, and then you put a username and password in. A username and password of your choice. Don't put an email in, it's optional anyway. So for this session, you don't need to put an email in, but username and password you should put in there. Showbie does have over 2 million registrations, yeah? So therefore, sometimes you'll put a username in and it will come back and tell you that the username's been taken. So just add some numbers at the beginning or something, and then you can kind of sign in. Once you've done that, it will take you to the fourth screen that says join a class. And I just want you to wait at that point, because I'm then going to show you how to make a class, and then I'm going to get you guys to join my class, and then we'll see, you know, how kind of what some of the key features of showbie and what we can potentially do with this. Okay, so it's going to give a bit of time for people to get to this point. And then I will have a class code. If you've got somewhere where you can kind of make a note of the class code, because in case if your username takes a bit long to sign in, you've still got the class code when I generate that. So at the moment, you just need to get to a point on the fourth screen where it says join a class, and just wait there. Don't tap the skip button. You need a class code to join my class. Okay, so what I'm now going to do, so this is kind of pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy for students to kind of do. It's part of the great things of showbie in that the technology is pretty simple and pretty reliable to use. Where technology is simple and reliable, you end up with adoption. People actually use it. Okay, so part of kind of my approach to using any technology in education, those two ingredients have to be present: simplicity and reliability. Everyone has to be able to do this in a very easy way. If it's complicated, if it's too many pushes and presses and all of that stuff, then we don't typically end up with a good learning experience, and then typically teachers stop using it. Okay, so I'm now going to go to showbie. So I'm going to fire up showbie. So this is the app. Let me just show you that. So that's the app that we're using, the showbie app. And if I tap on there, we then end up in this position whereby I have already signed in. My name is here at the top. And then these are all my classes. They're pretty much workshops for me that I've been doing around the world with different organizations that are kind of using showbie across their organization. So the first thing I need to do as a teacher is I need to sign in to, sorry, I've already signed in. I need to create a class. So I tap on this kind of spanner or wrench button at the top, and I'm going to do new class. Once I've done new class, you can see that a code has automatically been generated. Now, if you put that code in right now, it's going to tell you it's invalid because the class hasn't been created yet because I haven't pressed save. So one thing you should know is there is a portfolio option. So if that's switched on, then students can have a portfolio of their best work that they can put in one place, and you can go and have a look at as well. And there's also parent access as well. So if I switch that on, it will generate codes for each parent, and it will allow parents to kind of see what their children are doing in their school. But they can only see their children's stuff. They won't be able to see anybody else's, okay? So for this moment, I'm just putting this on. From a distance learning or a home learning perspective, that's probably not so important at the moment, as children being home, you know, with their parents, and they can kind of see what's going on their screen. So I'm gonna just call a new class, and I'm gonna call it Abdul's class. And I'm going to say that I'm just kind of cheating. Normally, this might be chemistry, or it might be science, or it might be grade 2, or whatever. It's your class that you have on a, you know, on a weekly basis that you see, or 2 weekly basis. It's the children that you have in front of you. Where schools are using this across the organization, you kind of need to have a plan in terms of what you're going to name the classes. Because if everybody just calls their class science, if you've got 4 chemistry teachers and they all call it chemistry, then it becomes confusing. So you've got to kind of have an approach that really kind of says, okay, we're going to put in, you know, the year, and then maybe the class code, and then maybe the teacher's initials or the subject abbreviations, and then the teacher's initials, and that then becomes kind of quite simple. If we're using this with young children, then you can use emojis, okay? So this does happen, you know, with different kind of classes, whether it's if it's a math class, you can kind of get, you know, an icon that shows numbers and so on, and you can add that in very, very easily, and you can kind of say, hey, you know, this is what we are. This is a math class that we're doing, and I've just added that in, although this is not a math class, but you get the idea, okay? So if I hit save now, what you will see is my class has been created. And now I get to add an assignment. So if I add an assignment and I do new assignment, okay. So here now, I'm just going to create a simple assignment. I'm just going to call it Introductions, because we're going to be introducing some features of showbie that are actually quite useful. We can set a due date. At the moment, it's editable and it's open, so students can interact and work with this. I can make it view only. I can lock it so the students can't see anything, but then I can set a schedule that will then make this editable at that time. Okay, so therefore, you know, I've had some questions earlier on today. If you lock an assignment, once the students have submitted all their work, you can give all the feedback, and then you make it editable again, and then they will then get notifications at that point after you've given them their feedback. Very, very easy and simple to do. Okay, if I hit the save button now, we are now here. Oh, and I can see that there's quite a few people that are still joining or haven't joined. Let me just share the class code again, for those of you that might need it. So you can see this is the class code. It's TP44G. So if you can kind of just join in using that, let's see if we can get more people into the class based on the number of people that have signed in. And if you don't want to and you just want to kind of watch, then that's fine. Hey, there we are. Okay. Okay, so we've got a lot of people that have kind of joined in here, right? Okay, so what's the first kind of impression is it's kind of quite a simple interface to use. There are 3 key areas that you should be aware of. One is this top kind of line that says shared items. That's really important, because whatever I put in shared items as a teacher, you will all be able to see. So if I tap on shared items, you can now see that I've got this workspace that's appeared on the right-hand side. I can write comments here, and I've got this plus sign here, which we will explore in a moment as well. So if I do something really simple, write a comment, and I'm just gonna say something like, hello, where are you from? Okay, let's just do that. And I hit the post button. Very simply, you'll see that that has now popped up on all your kind of screens, and you should be able to see that. Okay, and I want you to have a go at just replying to that. Just tell me where you're from, country, city, and what you'll see is as you type and you hit the post button, as a teacher, I can see who's responding back to me. Okay, so I know Michelle right at the bottom, she's kind of sent something because a paperclip has appeared and this blue line, right? And I'll be able to see in real time, students are submitting things back to me. So just earlier on today, through another webinar, one of the teachers that uses this in their school, they were doing the roll call or the register in the morning, where students are kind of just saying, yeah, I'm here, and the new work or new assignments are being set. So it's a really great way to kind of interact. And you can see, excuse me, it's very easy to kind of set up. People are from all over the world, and you're joining my class, and all I had to do was get the class code to you. That might be through email that you've already got set up. It may be through, you know, getting people to join like a Zoom call or something like that, and just explaining it to them. You know, whatever means you use in your schools to communicate with parents, you can easily send out these codes that they join, and you can send them further instructions. Quite easy to do. So what you'll see is a blue line has appeared, and I've got a paperclip that appears as well. So if I just go to Heather and I just tap on Heather, okay, so she's from Michigan, and once I tap off from Heather and I just go back to shared items, you can see the blue line has disappeared now. So that tells me in the first instance I get a paperclip, okay, you sent me something, and then it now tells me that I've actually seen what Heather has sent me. Okay, I can see what Lucy has sent me. I can see what Chris has sent me. I can see, right? I can see what Brittany has sent me. You can see that the blue lines have kind of disappeared as they've gone along. Yeah, and I can kind of do that for all of these. But where this becomes interesting, and for me, this is in some schools the workflow has already been kind of digital. But where I feel that this adds value to what teachers can do on a day-to-day basis, and certainly in the current circumstances, is if I tap on the plus icon at the top, I'm just going to tap here. We're going to look at some of these functions on here. Some of them are really obvious, which we don't have to kind of go through. So for example, the camera, if I tap on that, if you're on an iPad, the camera will activate. You can take pictures, you can take videos, and you can send that to your students. Very, very easily done. Scan document is something that we will look at in a moment. Photo library is just all the photos in your library that you can pick and send to people or to the students in your class. But the one that we're going to look at the moment is voice notes. Yeah. So if I just tap voice note, and I think this is where Showbie can add some real value to home learning, because, you know, to the students to hear the teacher's voice, and for the students to be able to ask questions and speak, kind of reduces workload, it reduces time, it reduces frustration as well, because you can just explain things very easily. If I just hit voice note, so you can see like this audio recording kind of tool has appeared at the top. If I hit the record button, hey guys, welcome to Showbie, and this is just a quick demonstration of how the voice note tool works. Hit post, and now what you will see is that has appeared, and it's kind of uploading. I can see that in the bottom right hand corner. That's done, and you guys can refresh just by pulling down, or it might just automatically kind of pop up on your kind of workspace. Yeah, and feel free to press play and listen, and you'll be able to hear my voice over that. I can also kind of tap on the voice note, keep it pressed, and choose the rename option. And if I do rename, then I can change that And I might just do something like, you know, I might name it feedback, because I'm just given some feedback on some work that they've done. And the students can easily tell that this is a voice note on feedback and what I need to do next. Yeah. So very, very easy to do, not so difficult. So voice kind of is a big feature in showbie, and I think it's quite powerful in the way in which can be used. So let's just move on and have a look at some of the features. I'm going to tap on plus. We're going to look at this scan document feature, because that's different from the camera. So although the camera is activated, there's a feature that comes on scan document that it kind of looks for like documents, like physical pieces of paper, and tries to scan them. Okay, so I've got a journal or an exercise book, whatever you might call it in your countries. Okay, and I'm just going to activate the scan document, and you'll see how this works, right? So if I just do scan document, you can see the camera comes up, and you can see it's trying to scan it, seeing that document. And I'm just going to hit the record button. So I've kind of got that there. Okay. I think I'm going to retake that, because I think you can do a better job in terms of quality. There we are. That's better. Right. I'm going to keep this scan. If I needed to change it, I could, doing this. But where it gets interesting is I'm now going to turn the page over, and we're going to do another page like this. Okay. And I'm going to keep the scan. And now what you see is that it's not finished. It's right at the bottom. It's saved the 2 pages. Now when I press the save button, okay, I can add as individual items, or I can add as a document. Okay, so I'm just going to add it as a document and watch what happens. Okay, it turns it into a PDF, and it's going to upload that for all of you, because I've put this in shared items. Okay, and the other thing to note is on my iPad, I've got full kind of view of the document, because these 3 buttons at the top allow me to kind of show large previews. If I switch it off, I'm going to get icons like this. If I switch it on, then I get a large preview. And what's nice about the large preview as well is I can swipe across and kind of see as many pages that might be on there. It doesn't stop there. So in a moment, you're going to interact with this. But if I just tap on this, okay, and you can see that this is a book that was marked by a teacher before, and it's been highlighted and so on. But actually what I can do now is I can annotate this book. Okay, so I can do the usual things by tapping the pencil icon. If I keep it pressed, I will end up with different thicknesses and different colors and so on, which you would kind of expect. And of course, you know, I can kind of highlight things. I can tick things, I can say, and you know, whatever it might be, I can kind of circle things and all that usual stuff. But and of course, I can do other things as well, which are also convenient. I can tap on a note, and you just see the icon that I just pressed at the top is lit up in blue, and it's a text box, and I can just tap here. And I can just give some feedback on this work. Great use of adjectives. Okay, and I might just kind of give that, and I can hide it like this. I can put that, overlay that wherever I want. So you can imagine if you gave a blank worksheet and you asked the students to fill this in, they could actually do it not just by writing with their fingers if they're using iPad, but they could actually use the text box if they were on a browser, and they'd be able to kind of do things like this and fill it in. But where for me this becomes hugely powerful is when I activate this button here, which is the speech mark with the play button inside it. So if I tap on this, it now allows me to annotate this document with voice. Okay, so I can now give feedback, and I can give some feedback on this and just record. Hey, well done. I just want you to use the word suspicious in a sentence of your own making. So you can either write it out in your book and kind of take a picture and send it to me, or you could just record your voice and just say a sentence with the word suspicious in it. I hit save. So you can see that as a teacher, there's no way I'd be able to give that kind of feedback and that lengthy feedback for all students. It would take a long time, right? But with speech, it becomes very, very easy to do. Again, I can press and hold and rename. And some of the schools that I've been working with, we've been amending the feedback policy. So we're kind of using icons and emojis to kind of highlight what the feedback might be. So if one of the ones that we've been using is this steps icon here, because it's next steps, that's what we're kind of telling the student to do. Okay. Oops, let me just cancel that one. So I've got text note and I've got a voice note. I can kind of put that wherever I want. As a teacher, students can't amend that. You will not be able to do this on most browsers. Okay. So that's one of the limitations. You can probably hear it on a browser. On most browsers, some browsers it's still an issue, but actually you will be able to at least see the text note if that's the case. Okay, so if I want to save this now, I'm going to hit the done button at the top, and then once I hit done, you guys should now have this, and you can see the edits on my preview. What I would like you to do is when you get this document, I want you to open it up. I want you to scribble, scroll, do whatever you want. You don't have to write anything meaningful or intelligent. Or you can record voice or whatever it is. You can do what you want. And then I want you to hit the done button on the top left when you finish and send this back to me. Okay. And then we'll see what we can do. So I can see some people are already sending me some things back because these blue lines are appearing. That tells me that students are submitting things to me. So I'm just going to wait for a few people to send things back, and then I'm going to show you where we take this from here. So from a teaching perspective, this also becomes quite powerful in the classroom as well, because if the idea is that students can take a picture of their book or whatever work that they're doing before the end of the lesson and they submit it to me as a teacher, I can actually see, has work been completed, and the students know that it's been sent to me in real time. And I can just look at my iPad. When I'm in school, I can see what's actually being sent to me. When I'm from this perspective, in terms of the current climate and distance learning, it's a very easy way just to see which students have responded, which ones haven't, and so on. And we can kind of see what's what. And if a child's not responded for so many days, then potentially it might warrant a phone call just to make sure that everything is okay, and so on. So it's kind of interesting to look at it from that perspective. Okay, so I'm just now going to open this document again. So I'm still in shared items. You can see that. And I'm going to open this. Now, this one has just got my annotations on. If I just go to the top left, and I can see these icons that are there with kind of the three people, right? And if I just tap on them, I get a list of all my students. So now if I tap on Heather, the document changes and I get Heather's kind of feedback and response to me, which is really powerful because, I can see the response to my feedback, okay? And it's a very fast way of marking and giving feedback as well. So now I'm just going to tap on this arrow here that's on the side. When I tap on this, Lucy's will be uploaded, right? And you can see it's different. It's kind of got feedback. And then where students haven't responded, you can see potentially that there's no response back from students, but I can very quickly kind of go through and I can begin to kind of give feedback and mark things for different students as well. Yeah, so it's kind of quite easy to do, very easy to use, and it's kind of, quite straightforward in many ways. Okay, so this is then been, so if I just show you an example of a class, let me just come out. I'm just going to go back and I'm just going to show you a class, a teacher that kind of uses this. So it's a French class from quite a while back. And if I just go into this listening test paper, and if I just go into shared items. So I'm from the UK. This school is in the UK. This is an actual PDF exam paper. So they just got the PDF document and uploaded it. And if I just go across to kind of, page 2, this one's empty. There's nothing that's there. And again, if I just go here, you can see the grades have been awarded and students have been kind of responding to this and filling things in. Yeah, and the teacher can kind of give feedback or put grade. There is a grade book in the top right hand corner. It's really powerful, that, because it allows you to kind of just send. It allows you to just kind of, kind of collect all the grades, and then you can export it as a CSV. It's very, very easy to use. And because Showbie is kind of like a global platform and every country uses different learning management systems, by allowing the export of the CSV, most learning management systems can take that data and then you can analyze it in whichever form, whichever way you want. Okay, so that's kind of an easy thing to do. If I just go back to the original class, here I am. Okay, and I just go back into introduction. Oh, one thing, if I just go back, one of the things that I am able to do right at the top, just above introduction, I can have a class discussion. So at the moment it's paused. And if I do allow students to post, so this is where you guys can, post things, you can write comments, you can ask questions, you can do whatever you want, and it's open. And as a teacher, you can then stop that whenever you want, right? So wonderful. Yeah, Michelle, right? And I can kind of respond as well. Hello. Oops, I'm just to post. Very, very easy to do. And I can you can continue a class discussion. Really nice for, the current situation. Students can still chat and talk and say things and discuss things or discuss problems and confer and collaborate and so on. Very, very easy to do. What's also great about this as well is if I just go into, in fact, if I just come back here, back into this class, if I just tap on the spanner button at the top, when I go to class members, I've got a bunch of students that have joined me. That's you guys. You can see yourselves here. But also, I can add teachers as well. So this has normally been happening all day. So we've got a bunch of people that are teachers. They've got teacher accounts, maybe even Showbie Pro accounts. And if I just add Laurie, and I get to approve them, now they have all the features that I have as a teacher, which kind of opens up a whole bunch of possibilities around being able to kind of work collaboratively, for teachers being able to step in for one another, having additional, if in your organization or in your countries, you have special needs coordinators, you have teachers that work with children with additional needs, they can now be supporting students in a variety of different classes without necessarily having to kind of been there, so it's kind of worthwhile looking at and knowing about. So I've added these teachers on. If I go to class discussion, these are now teachers in our class, and they can kind of collect and push things on. So someone's asked a question around Rubric. I'm assuming, Chris, you mean kind of analytics, or do you mean like quizzes and asking questions and so on? If maybe feel free to kind of write that on the class discussion. I'll definitely marking Rubric. Okay, let me show you. We'll come to that. Maybe it is the question that you're answering for. Maybe it isn't, but I'll come on to that in a moment. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So I upload a PDF version of the rubric and then just annotate. If I show you a class that does this, so if I go into this class and I go into this particular assignment, what you will notice in this school, every student has to submit their work at the end of the lesson. So what you see, so there's learning objectives that have been highlighted, and they've just annotated that to say that's the rubric met. And at the end of each lesson, the students submit their books. Now, not all of it will get marked each time, but the teacher can go back and look at what was submitted at that time. In this case, it's they're kind of journals or books, but actually it might have been a video, it might have been a photo, it might have been animation, it might have been a keynote or presentation or something that they've done, and so on. And then there are rubrics that we use in the UK for greater depth and exceptional and so on, and that can kind of get marked. And of course, if you have multiple teachers, they can moderate and check that what you've put down is correct and they agree with as well. So it's kind of worthwhile knowing that as a functionality. Okay, I'm just going to class discussions because things are popping up here. Okay, so let's just go back into the class and just let's look at a couple of other things on here that are kind of quite useful. So we've looked at fast marking, we've looked at annotation with voice, we've looked at being able to scan documents in, which is really useful. One thing to know is this option here on file, right? So if I tap on file, and if I go to browse, you can see that actually I can access my Google Drive account from here, or my Office 365 through OneDrive, because it's really important to understand that actually Showbie is not a competitor to this. It sits alongside these kind of big systems that schools use. And the reason, and what Showbie is good at, is the assessment and feedback piece. If research shows that the feedback from the teacher and the assessment and that ability for students to ask questions has huge impact on outcomes. Well, Showbie is actually geared towards that, and being able to add my voice to this and to be able to annotate documents in that way, that becomes really powerful. The other thing to kind of note as well is to kind of have a system in your school, if your school does go down this route, that provides a degree of clarity. So with a lot of the schools that I've been working with, we've kind of come to an agreement in the school that all the resources, so their PowerPoints and keynotes and videos and worksheets and PDFs, all of those things are actually stored on Google Drive or Teams or whatever it is that you kind of, whichever system that you're using. But the submission of work, when students complete activities and send that back, that's done in Showbie. And along with Showbie, there's this tool called Socrative, which we're going to look at in a moment, that allows you to kind of measure that learning as well. So Showbie becomes the extension of the student's book and kind of learning journey. It's an opportunity to provide verbal feedback. It's an opportunity for students to submit videos, and it's an opportunity for us to do marking and assessment as well. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is I'm going to kind of introduce you to a tool that has been around for a long time, but actually not so long ago, Showbie actually purchased this tool. So it now belongs to Showbie, and it's called Socrative. Okay, so this is it. It's quite an intelligent tool in some ways, in terms of what it allows you to do. But what's nice about it now, because it's integrated into Showbie, as students, no student needs to sign up into Socrative, but as a teacher, you do. So if I go into Socrative, and if I just go to, so I've signed in, so there's my account at the top right. So the first time you do this, you will need to create a Socrative account and sign in. Okay, and then if I can kind of create a quiz, I can do exit tickets, multiple choice, true, false, short answer questions, and so on. There's one that I made earlier. So if I go into quizzes, I've got one that I've done periodic table. My background is a chemistry teacher, so apologies for that. So this periodic table quiz that I've kind of put together, I'm able to kind of share that with other teachers as well. Okay, so I could share this quiz URL with other teachers. They could kind of copy this. I email that. They put this back into their add quiz section here. If I do import, they can just put the sock code in, or from an Excel account, and they can quite easily kind of, bring that in, and it will upload all the kind of quizzes in there. Okay, now let's just have a look at the quiz. If I tap on it, so I'm still in Socrative. Here, I just created 4 questions. The first one was a multi-choice. The next one was just looking at an image that I uploaded and some text that they have to put based on the image that they see, a true or false question, and then just an open-ended question. So if I kind of go to the first one, I can tap edit, and it's really self-explanatory, right? I can tap here. I can begin to edit the text, yeah, or not. I can choose the correct answer that I think is right. I can put the correct answer in here. I can say which is true. So, it's true or false. If I set it as false, it will say false is the right answer. If I set it as true, then true is the right answer, and so on. I'm going to hit save and exit. Okay. And then, okay, I'm now going to come out of this, and I'm going to go to Showbie. Now, this next step is a one-time thing that you would need to do. If I just tap on my name icon in the top right, I've just gone back all the way so I can see all my classes. And here, I just go to Socrative connection and I tap on there. And at this point, it would ask me, what's your Socrative username and password? You would put in the username and password that you put in for Socrative. Mine's already been done, right? So I don't need to do that again. Now, every time I go to Socrative and I add quizzes, I can see them here. So I'm gonna let you guys actually have a go at this quiz. Oops. Oh, I think our class has been deleted by, I'm assuming it's one of the teachers. Let's see if you archived it. Let me see if I can bring that up. Okay. Okay, here we are, right? So what someone just did as a teacher, they archived the class. So at the end of the year, if I don't want to see the class, I can archive it and put it away. So if I just go to restore class, okay, and hit save, then my class will be restored again at the top. So here we are again, okay. And now we're gonna go back into the class and I'm gonna just kind of go into shared items and I'm going to start, I'm gonna start the quiz. So if I go to plus and I do quiz, right? So this is Socrative now, okay. What's going to happen is it's going to launch a quiz for you guys. So it's telling me which room. So I can have lots of different rooms in Socrative, and in each room is a bunch of quizzes, and a room might be equivalent to a subject or a topic and so on. It's up to you how you put that together. If I do connect room, this happens. It's going to give me an option for which quiz do I want to share with you, do I want you guys to do. So I'm going to say periodic table, hit next, and now you've got a number of different options. I can do this instant feedback version where where you guys can answer questions in order. You can't change your answers. You're going to get instant feedback. I can go to open navigation, which is like, it allows the students to answer questions in any order. You can change the questions before you finish. So it kind of gives students the flexibility there. Or you can do teacher pace, which means you control the flow of the questions and which one is going to happen, which one comes up on their screen. I'm just going to do instant feedback, do start, and what you guys will see is the quiz has now been launched in your workspace. So if you tap on that quiz thing that's just been launched, and I want you to have a go, but look at my screen. When I tap on mine, I get the teacher view, and I can see on the left, which students are present and which ones are actually interacting with this, okay? So actually you could even just have this as a register, okay? A roll call with the students in your class, and the answer might just be, are you present? Are you okay? Whatever it is, and they might just say, from a home learning perspective, okay? So you've got a record of actually students logging in and just saying that they're okay and there aren't any issues or, something's not right and so on. But obviously, we're kind of using this from an academic perspective. And I can kind of see what's going on and who's doing what very easily. Right at the bottom, there's also kind of a total that I'm getting, that will allow me to kind of see, what percentage of questions. So 7% for question 2. So let me look at question 2, which is the question that everyone's getting wrong. So if I just press 2, I can see this is the question. Maybe I need to do a bit of work on this. Another good use of this is in some schools where they've got Socrative along with showbie, they sometimes do the quiz at the beginning of the lesson when students don't have much knowledge. And they might get some right and some wrong, but then they do it again at the end of the session. And then what you find is actually, they've got a higher score, which then shows that actually learning has happened, or still identify as areas where learning has not happened. Okay. I am now going to finish this, okay? So when I hit finish, it's ended the quiz, okay? But it doesn't stop there, right? Look at what's happened on the teacher's screen. I can see it says ended, and then there's these 3 dots. If I press the 3 dots, I've now got a bunch of options. And one thing that I really like about this is I can distribute the reports. So I'm going to hit the distribute report. And what it's going to do is it's going to send each of you a personalized report on which questions you got right, which ones you got wrong, and so on. Okay, someone is archiving. Okay, someone's archived the class again, excuse me. Sorry guys, those of you that are teachers, please can you not be involved in this? Let me just see my show archive classes. No, here we are. Restore the class. And hit save. And if I just go back in here and go back here, shared items. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to tap on the 3 dots and hit distribute reports. And it will now distribute these reports to each of the students in the class that completed the test. Those people that didn't complete the test, you will not get a report. And once it's done that, you'll see that actually it's adding people, it's kind of giving the reports. And I can see those little red circles appearing, that telling me that, you know, there's some feedback coming back to you. Okay, so I'll just wait until all of that is done. So reports have been distributed. So if I just, let me just have a look. If I just pull up Daniela, and I can see Daniela's report here, right? And I can give personal feedback. Now, the nice thing about this is even if someone has got things wrong, it's me and between myself and the teacher. It's not there for everyone to be able to see. Although in this case, I'm sharing screen and you can see it, okay? And again, you know, I can still give feedback on this as well, right? So I can still kind of annotate, I can, you know, do my voice feedback and still annotate and get students to explain something to me. You know, how do you know that carbon is organic chemistry? Can you give me some examples or whatever? I can ask them to kind of explain that to me, and I can give individual feedback as well. So Socrative is quite a powerful tool. It collects data, and it's data that can be collated over a period of time and can tell you, can give you feedback on the performance of students in your class as well. Okay, so that kind of brings us to the end of kind of the key features that we've got here. One thing I will mention is when I go back here, right at the bottom, I've got the groups function. So I've got classes here, then I've got groups. If I go to groups, here I can create a group. And a group is basically exactly what it says. I can create my own bespoke group. I can have 5 students in there from different grades. I can have teachers that are in different places, and we might be working on a project together, and they're working on that on there as a group. Okay, so it's ad hoc. It allows me to just give feedback. There are groups that can be created with just teachers in there, and they might be moderating, you know, work, and you know, are people awarding the right kind of marks and so on, and give their feedback on there. And the nice thing is you can add voice to this as well, which is great. The other thing is that if I tap on the plus icon, so you can still do all the feedback and the voice note and file and so on. But what's nice here as well is, see here, I can kind of have settings for groups. So I can say parents can't join, students can't join, and it's only going to be announcements. So I could have all my teachers in this group, and I might just be making an announcement. Fantastic for kind of, you know, daily announcements, bulletins, and things like that, that sometimes principals, leadership teams want to give out to their teachers. Yeah, so very, very easy to do and very, very useful as well. And it's not something that can just get lost in emails, and you could just record your voice and send a voice note on this as well. So that becomes quite useful. So that's groups. Yeah. Okay, so that kind of brings us almost towards the end of this. I want to make sure that we've got enough time for questions as well. Okay. Some questions here. Yeah, so both Showbie and okay, let me just have a look at some of this. Both Showbie and Socrative, there is a pro license. There is, at the moment, because of everything that's going on, Showbie is offering kind of 5 licenses or whatever it is for free. So it's worthwhile getting in touch with Showbie and kind of trialing that, especially if you're doing distance learning and just checking it out, how it works from a reliability perspective and so on. So it's worthwhile contacting Showbie for that. Socrative, it can be bundled with Showbie. So that's something that you might want to also ask Showbie about. The guys there are very, very good at kind of, responding back to emails and things like that. So kind of asking for the whole thing to be bundled and packaged together, that would be kind of quite useful. Okay, somebody saying, Mrs. Rizzo, a problem I see with the comments is if the students have multiple comments, they pile on top of each other. At this point, the comments are illegible because as a teacher, I am unable to move the comments elsewhere. Do you have a remedy for that? I don't. It is the way it is for comments. Are you talking about the comments? A problem I see with comments is if the students have multiple comments, they pile on top of each other. Is this on the document, Mrs. Rizzo? Are you talking about on the document? Or are you talking about in kind of when you're annotating a document, a scan document, or do you mean that it's just kind of on the document? Yeah. So the students cannot move where the teachers comments are. So if I just kind of go to shared items and we go here, one thing that teachers do is you can kind of just minimize it like this, and the students will kind of get used to knowing that I can minimize and do that. If you minimize this and leave it like minimize, then that's fine. And then you can just tap on minimize if there's lots of comments in one place, and then you've just got the circles. As a teacher, you can move them all about whichever way you want. Okay, let me just go back because Chris has some questions there as well. Here we are. Yeah, Chris, your question, do you mark open-ended items from a Socrative quiz after distributing the results to the kids? Absolutely, yeah, you can. That's something that you would do. So any open-ended question, you can kind of put in answers and keywords that you're looking for, but actually for open-ended questions, you'd be able to give some very, very detailed feedback on Showbie. Certainly from a verbal perspective. So teachers that we've done this with as an impact study, we kind of get we kind of get a response to say that it takes a lot less time, especially with the speed marking feature, and the teachers can just give a lot of verbal comment very, very quickly. So we did this as an impact study measurement. We measured it over 2 months. And in one school, we measured it over 12 months, where teachers were kind of comparing what it's like to give feedback on a piece like this, an open-ended questioning kind of assessment. And there's a significant difference on how long it takes to give feedback to a teacher. And in some ways, it's obvious because when you speak, you can get a lot more words in. Okay. Okay, Mr. Rosa, when I give student a PDF, if they answer with a comment, they will pile up. So I think you're kind of, sorry, let me just go back and let me see if I can, let me get rid of the archive classes. And if I just pull up this one, and let me just kind of pull up the listing test. So this is a classic example. I think this is what you mean, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But this is an exam paper, it's in a UK school. If I just swipe across, and I don't know which student it is, but if I just go down, so I think, and maybe this is what you're referring to when it's like this, where things are kind of piled up on top of one another and you can't kind of see what's going on. Maybe this is what you are referring to. So typically speaking, you would kind of, your text box thing, you would kind of put there, and you would let the students know where it is that they need to kind of fill in and give feedback to. If I just kind of find one that's got, so in this case, for example, the students has put it in the box, so I can hide, open, and I can do that with with any of these boxes. So that should stop the comments piling up on top of one another. The one thing I will say is that it's really important when you give a PDF, you're much more clearer with your instructions. What is it that you want your students to do and how do you want them to do it? Because they could write, they could put a text box in, they could add a voice note. Okay, so you've got to be kind of clear about where it is that you want it to be. And sometimes it might mean that your worksheets are kind of redesigned in some ways so that it's allowing for those boxes and stuff, for the voice notes and things to be put in. Okay. Okay. And let me just come out of here. Oops, that's the wrong one. Okay, so that kind of is bringing up us to the end. I can't open the Socrative quiz. Do I need showbie Pro? I don't think you need showbie Pro, but showbie Pro does have kind of limitations. So, sorry, the free showbie does have limitations. So, for example, you can only record 1 minute of voice. You can only have 10 lessons in there. And actually, I think you're right. The Socrative linking happens with that as well, but I can definitely check up on that and come back to you. So one thing I will do is you've kind of, this is my email account, so feel free to kind of get back in touch with me if a question that I've kind of answered is not very clear and you want me to kind of respond back to you personally. Happy to kind of do that. No, actually, you should be able to move it. As a teacher, you should be able to move the voice notes. Yeah, as a teacher, you can move any of the voice notes. Okay, right. Thanks, Elizabeth. You're welcome for that. I will, if I just kind of come back here, if you are kind of interested with this. Hang on a minute, let me just, and if you want to know more, certainly you can go to the showbie kind of aspect thing. But if I just kind of tap on this link, let me see if I can just tap on this link, you can kind of get them to get in touch with you. I'm going to put this here and hit post. And what I'm also going to do is if I go to class members, and if I go to teachers, okay, I've got a few people that have kind of joined in, but I'm just gonna leave that there. So whoever wants to take that link, please do so now, unless, because this class will disappear at some point. I'll leave it on till tomorrow, but I would say that you just kind of take that link and then fill it in, and then you should be able to kind of, you know, register for some of the resources from showbie as well. Okay, guys, I'll stop there. I have another session in the next 10 minutes. So I'm just going to kind of sign out. Hope that was useful. Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Thank you, everyone. And stay safe. Look after yourselves. And hopefully we will meet again at some point. And I am here. If there are any other issues or questions that you want to ask, then kind of feel free to do so. Wonderful. Okay, oh, and we've got some of my students saying they can't add voice notes from their iPads. Is this just to do with the browser they are using? So on the iPad, they should be using the app. If they use the app, they should be fine. On the iPad, there's no reason to use the browser. Okay. Okay, so I think some of these are the same ones as before. Yes, there is a recording of this, which I can kind of share with people, but it will get processed after I end this. Okay, so I'll make sure the link is here, and I'll get one of the showbie people to kind of send you the link for this as well, because you've put your email registrations in there. Okay, thank you very much, and I will stop there.